Just some thoughts on brass instruments. It's very difficult to play in a clean way. That's the main difficulty. It's not really the fingerings. It's a little bit more complicated on a slide trombone. So endurance, high-pitched notes, clean playing are the basics, and it's very difficult. Other things, doubling on trombone or on a trumpet. I prefer the cornet. This is I have 3 cornets. This is the medium level cornet by Gatson 400, I think it is. I think trumpet is the most difficult. It has a small mouthpiece like the cornet, but because of the board, which is cylindrical, and the high pitch notes, it's taxing. It's more difficult than a cornet. That's why sometimes I play the trumpet, because if I'm good on a trumpet, I'm very good on a cornet or cornet. I prefer medium low pitched instruments, basically 1 octave lower, or like this is my new addition. This is a C valve trombone, that means 1 note higher, and it's very short. It's very handy to play, and I like the tone of a C pitched valve trombone. That's a very inexpensive 366 euros with the case. Why do I like trombones? For some reason I prefer the lower octave, for different reasons. One thing is that it's the same pitch as my voice. As I'm a singer, I find myself at ease hearing a sound that gets out of my instrument that is more or less the sound of my voice. I mean, same octave. If I sing in the same octave of a trombone. So it's a manly voice. I like it. I find the sound of a trombone, whatever trombone, valve, slide trombone, quite majestic, okay? Has something of composure. Trumpet is more in your face. It's bright, it's powerful. Trombone is more composed. It can be very, of course, of the slide, if it's a slide trombone, can be very joyful and playful. There are 2 instruments I think are very playful. That's why they are played by clowns also. The clarinet and the trombone. Okay? Other thing that I like is the sound of a cornet. It's neither fish nor fowl. It's kind of a trumpet. It's more trumpety than flugelhorn, sure, but it has a little tenderness. That's why I would like to have a baritone, which we call tenor flugelhorn, a baritone horn, which is somewhere between the sound of a valve trombone and the sound of a euphonium, which is very velvety, very soft, very warm, rounded sound that is, you don't even know where it comes from. It's very, it's not direct. I wanted to have a more handy instrument, so I got this, but I wanted also, but it was not in stock, the tenor, which is in B flat, not E flat, like in some English speaking countries they call tenor, we call alto, which makes sense because it's alto instrument, it's in E flat, and they call the baritone, we call tenor, B flat, which is conical instrument, not so conical as a flugelhorn, so it's not that thick, you know. So I fell in love with the sound of and the music of Bob Brookmeyer, which is the best, is the sound of trombone. I mean, valve trombones doesn't have the sound you expect for a trombone. The phrasing is different. It doesn't have this effect that is so beautiful, but you lose other things. You lose the articulation and the speed of a valve trombone. I have both. Nowadays I play more the valve trombone, but now and then I play my tenor, and I have a plastic alto trombone that I like a lot. But E flat you should play every day, because otherwise you have a problem with the partials. With this is just C, E flat. I don't have a problem with the partials. It's just one note different. The other one's 2.5. Yes, and this is just one. So I don't have any problem playing it. Actually, it's a little a little bit brighter. Sorry for my cough. So I like the sound of I also double on the cornet. I have a trumpet and I have flugelhorn. Sometimes we play the instrument that sounds better. This is not a very good instrument, but it's new and it has compression and it's a little bit, I mean, the other one is a better metal, but this is plays. All our valve trombones are a little bit stuffy and you need a lot of practice, because it's easier technically, but from the point of view of blowing, you need to be very good to make this instrument sound good. But when they sound good, you have this. Basically, you're not limited by the speed and just as the fact that you're playing in tune like a slide trombone. Slide trombone is, most of the times you use the slide, but you don't need a slide. I mean, how many times you would play something that only a slide trombone can do? Not so much time, so many times. So I'd say pros and cons for me, but I know there are people who like the fact that then he can slide from one note to another, and I say I don't think it's bad. It's a very good thing, but it's a very good thing that you don't need many times for the music we play nowadays. If you played Dixieland, I would definitely go for the slide trombone, in spite of the fact that we have a slide trombone player with Bank Johnson. Not Bank Johnson, Buddy Bolden. And I think he used to play this kind of instrument from the picture. I think he play a C tune valve trombone. It's kind of handy, almost like a bass trumpet, but it's still a trombone. So I'd say this allows me to have a phrasing that is not different from a trumpet, and all in all I prefer this. This is even over the other one. This is a regular B flat Valve Trombone. When it comes to, I also have a Euphonium, and I like it a lot. It's good for ballads. It's not that bright, so when you want to have something in your face, I prefer the trombone. But I think that the Euphonium is a quite underestimated instrument for jazz. It's wonderful. I don't have a case, so I wrap it in some makeshift sack that I made. And the downside is it's heavy, so if I had a plastic one, there are plastic ones, I would probably play and go outside and play the Euphonium much more. Okay? So sometimes it's the weight, the case you have, and other things that influence. Another thing is, I always have this here in my room, and I sometimes use this to cover it. I have a trombone stand. This can be also on my table. It's always handy, and I play whenever I want. And the fact that it's in C, it's a good thing because it's different from my B flat. I can read other music. I can read whatever music is with other players, guitar player, and we read from the same sheet music because this is in C. Actually, as I said before, there is a slight difference in spite of the fact that the mouthpiece is the same. It would benefit from a slight smaller cup diameter, is just a little bit, because this is if not B flat, so a little bit smaller mouthpiece to give the right amount of sound. You know, the engine, this is the engine, so if the instrument is shorter, you have an edge smaller, you should have a smaller engine, but that's okay. Other thing to say, yes, obviously, it's a very weird instrument to see. You know, you have this small, like almost like a trumpet, and you have this big bell. It's a little bit smaller than the B flat, but it's quite, you can see this is a trombone. A bass trumpet, as far as I know, I've never played a bass trumpet. I would like to, I'm curious. A bass trumpet is from what I heard, it has less, it's a little bit more in your face. It's a trumpet, so mouthpiece is a little bit smaller, the bore is a little bit narrower, and the bell is not that big, and that makes the difference. Well, when you play and you hold like this, it's not very different from this point of view from a bass trumpet visually, but bass trumpet is B flat for most of them. I know there are C bass trumpets. An instrument that I like to listen to is a bass trombone, but the fact it has two attachments, and I think it's very difficult. And since I read this music, trumpet music, I would playing a bass trombone and not reading bass key would be very difficult. Okay, I can immediately play if I use just one attachment and the slide, obviously two attachments. I don't even know how the other one is tuned, and the mouthpiece is wider. I mean, when I play the other one with an F attachment, that to me is a G attachment, because I read. I think it's like a trumpet. That's why I don't have any problem. Only this would create a problem if I play with other people and I play with the fingerings of the B flat. So the idea is either I learn twice, or I tell the guitar player. I always say guitar because I also play very badly, but I play the guitar and the ukulele, and in my mind, my ideal accompany, what is the person who accompanies me, or it's a guitar. I like the sound of a guitar. I'm in love with that sound, so I prefer playing with the guitar players rather than with piano or keyboards players. I don't have anything against piano players. I used to listen to a lot of Errol Gardner, Father Hines, Count Basie, Fats Waller. But all in all, maybe because I also play not very well, but I prefer the sound of a guitar. So I know I'm not clean when I play. Much cleaner than some months ago, but I still have problems. I listen to the way I play and say, okay, the phrasing is much smoother now, or it's more fluent when I improvise. It's not perfect. I know that I don't go up and down. I prefer to play. My favorite players are more melodic, and they usually play more horizontally, rather than like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, like this. I prefer Lesher Young, so I also like the tenor. When I played the sax, I used to play the tenor sax. Chet Baker, Bob Brockmeyer. Okay, that leads me towards trombone rather than trumpet. Actually, I prefer the cornet. That's my favorite high-pitched. So I basically, I also have a E flat, but I don't master it. So I basically play E flat would be a good compromise, from the point of view of mouthpiece, just in the middle, but as I said before, it has E flat partials, and that's a problem. That's a problem also if I keep thinking like I'm B flat, E flat. It's a problem when I play with other people. Okay, so one good idea is to learn some things for E flat and other things for B flat. So and when you play with other people, oh, this is not a song I play with a tenor trombone. This is a song I play with the alto trombone. That's it. Goodbye.